Story 1. Consistently failing to understand basic logic, refusing to consider new information, or making the same poor decisions repeatedly despite evidence. Story 2. Unintelligent? Perhaps it is simply someone who refuses to learn or grow, as curiosity is the true essence of genius. Story 3. A person who has difficulty analyzing situations or thinking critically may struggle to identify the core of problems and develop reasoned solutions. Story 4. Acting as if they know better than you on a topic they inquire about is quite frustrating. This behavior often comes from individuals in the information technology field. Many times, when I ask questions, they respond with, "No, it can't be that," and refuse to even consider alternatives. I have no respect for this kind of attitude. Story 5. They are completely convinced of their intelligence. All intelligent individuals understand that they know very little, and the knowledge they lack far exceeds what they possess. Show me a person with absolute conviction, and I will show you someone who is inflexible in their thinking. Story 6. Cognitive dissonance occurs when individuals maintain unwavering belief in certain people, even in the face of undeniable evidence that indicates these individuals do not deserve such faith. Story 7. Inability to see a problem or scenario from another person's point of view. They do not have to agree with the other person, but they should be able to understand an alternative perspective. Story 8. They don't understand hypothetical situations. Whenever you try to ask their opinion or what they would do in a fictional scenario, they get upset because they don't realize it's not real. It is quite strange to experience this in real life. Story 9. Not necessarily unintelligent, but it is not a good sign. There is a lack of passion for learning and curiosity. If I had to choose between two applicants, one who is undoubtedly a brilliant mind but only wants to be better than everyone, and one who loves to learn and shows an interest in others' work, I would take the latter every time. Story 10. I need to delete my social media account because I have spent too much time on it, and it's starting to make me feel unproductive. Story 11. Their approach to politics is team-based rather than policy-based. They believe one party is universally better than the other in every aspect. They are very vocal with their opinions but are close-minded and refuse to engage in good faith discussions about the issues. Nothing can shake their belief in the moral soundness of their political affiliation. They think that politicians genuinely care about them. Story 12. Their opinions are easily swayed. I am not referring to individuals who are confronted with facts that prove them wrong and accept them. Those are intelligent individuals. The people I am discussing are those who supposedly have a strong opinion about something but will suddenly change their stance at the slightest challenge, regardless of how long they have held this opinion or whatever facts they are presented with. Story 13. I don't think many of these commenters understand the difference between foolishness and intelligence. In my experience, less intelligent individuals often take things very literally. Metaphors and analogies go right over their heads. Story 14. Possessing the emotional immaturity of a spoiled individual, they are highly prone to emotional outbursts and treat others as mere objects to express their frustrations when things do not go their way, even if it does not benefit them or make logical sense. Story 15. They are opposed to vaccinations, especially when they claim that oils and crystals from unreliable sources will be more effective than actual science. Story 16. Unusual hairstyle. Small hands, orange makeup, awkward posture, tie that hangs low enough to cover the awkward posture. Unable to express a point in more than 4 words without self-promotion. Story 17. They might ask the same question repeatedly, even though they have received the same answer. Story 18. A refusal to think critically occurs when individuals repeatedly approach a task incorrectly, expecting different results. Intelligent people analyze the situation, acknowledge their mistakes, and try various approaches until they achieve the desired outcome. Additionally, seeking help from respected individuals demonstrates intelligence, as it requires humility and a willingness to grow. Story 19. Lack of curiosity, no critical thinking skills, and very rigid views prevent individuals from digesting new information. They start to struggle when the information conflicts with their chosen beliefs. Story 20. Someone is unintelligent if they cannot tell when another person is an abject moron, especially when there are 77 million of them. Story 21. They repeat a celebrity's opinion as if it is a fact, and will continue to do so regardless of any evidence disproving the opinion. Story 22. It doesn't necessarily mean they are unintelligent, but since I'm in college, it makes sense to me. There is often a superiority complex among students in law, medical, and engineering majors who believe that because their major is more challenging and they are likely to earn more money after graduation, they are more intelligent. While they may have more knowledge in their specific field, it does not make them any more intelligent than they were before attending college. Story 23. Lack of curiosity. I don't care how logical you are. If you think you've figured it all out, you're not truly intelligent. Story 24. A wise person avoids others, but when they cannot due to circumstances, or should not due to responsibility, they treat them kindly. In every way intelligence can be measured, the one who is loud and cruel falls short. Story 25. The largest factor is the inability to see others' perspectives. Empathy is essential to intelligence. Story 26. Some of us are so misguided that we believe we are intelligent in a unique way. This captures the essence of this entire discussion. Story 27. Lack of morals. If you need to fear God or law enforcement to avoid being disrespectful, you might not be the brightest individual. Story 28. When they label others as uneducated if they do not agree with their views. I have met people with a master's degree who are quite unintelligent, believing that their degree automatically makes them the smartest person in the room. Story 29. I came here to see how many people would respond with just liberal or conservative, and I am pleasantly surprised to see that not many did. Story 30. They simply repeat information provided to them through videos and social media. They do not have original thoughts on any topic. Story 31. A colleague once said to me, "Some people are so thick," as he shoved the sharpened end of a pencil into his ear. Story 32. An infuriating inability or refusal to accept that someone is simply outlining a pragmatic understanding of a topic, pitfalls and all, leads to perceiving their words as a moral endorsement of whatever unfortunate thing they are describing. Let's look at an example. It is inevitable that if people become significantly poorer or more oppressed, particularly if clearly at the hands of those more powerful than them, some among them will fight back, often with tragic consequences. So you think it is okay for, insert any country's terrorists, to kill many people? No. You are just a monumentally willfully ignorant person with not even the most basic listening comprehension skills, more interested in competing in a conversation than engaging in a shared pursuit of truth. Some of these individuals might not be unintelligent, though. Some are manipulative and thrive in an environment where they can twist your words to position themselves as morally superior to increase their perceived status among others around you. I used to waste my time in my 20s engaging with these individuals, lacking the maturity to recognize that they are either too ill-informed or are trying to make you look like a monster for their own ends, and nothing good can come out of such conversations. It is refreshing to be middle-aged and to know exactly what kind of people they are. Story 33. Refuses to accept alternative viewpoints and dislikes individuals who do not adhere to their political ideology. Story 34. There was a philosopher, whose name I forget, who made the point that recognizing how poor you are at a task requires the same skill set needed to perform it well. That's why you often encounter ineffective workers who believe they excel at their jobs, and it reflects a fundamental principle related to ignorance. They cannot recognize their own lack of knowledge, as acknowledging this would demand the same ability required to understand their limitations. This perpetuates the cycle of ignorance. Story 35. An inability to change one's mind on a subject, even when clear evidence demonstrates the flaws in their convictions. Story 36. I think the most annoying kind of people are those who have no sense of observation, unable to analyze a situation or understand what is happening around them. However, these individuals can turn out to be intelligent if you explain a problem clearly and ask them for a solution. I am convinced that there are many different types of intelligence. Story 37. When you ask them something hypothetical, but they don't understand it and get angry. What if you were to travel to this city by train? Would the trip be cheaper? No, I used my car for this. I meant, what if you did? But I didn't. I used my car. Story 38. They censor individuals they disagree with instead of presenting arguments and evidence to support their claims. They resort to personal attacks or outright violence when they lack a proper argument against someone. They prioritize their beliefs over acknowledging their mistakes, even when presented with substantial evidence that proves them wrong. Their emotions are easily manipulated by those who dictate how they should feel or think about certain issues, as they seldom question the ideologies they are fed. They are hesitant to think independently for fear of losing validation from their group. Story 39. Inability to assess the validity of competing pieces of evidence in a critical manner, such as with vaccines. Story 40. Never admit when they are wrong. Never open their preconceived beliefs to change. Refuse to learn or understand new ideas or concepts. Story 41. Oh, you could be like a person I no longer call a friend who thinks being transgender is just a mental disorder, doesn't believe in vaccines but will inject themselves with black market, bought off Facebook Ozempic marketed as skinny jabs. Story 42. They communicate at a grade school level and repeat the same information frequently. They lack the ability to understand nuance. When they learn something new, they like to announce it to everyone, stating, "Not many people knew this." They frequently lie about both trivial and important matters, do not seem to remember these lies, and do not feel any guilt or shame when caught. Story 43. Confusing confidence with intelligence. Just because you state something with conviction does not mean it is insightful. Story 44. I have a friend on the opposite side of the political spectrum who frequently uses Twitter and listens to Joe Rogan regularly. I don't care what kind of media you choose to engage with, even if I don't like your selection, but this friend often tells me that I'm brainwashed by the media I consume. I always think, how can you not see that it's all misleading information from every direction? That lack of honest awareness might be concerning. Story 45. They easily believe everything, regardless of how ridiculous it sounds, showing a lack of critical thinking skills. Story 46. When they're confident they are right, smart people tend to judge themselves and doubt themselves a lot. Story 47. They ask this question without searching for it first, not realizing it has been asked hundreds of times already. Story 48. I believe we all share a similar base level of intelligence. We each excel in different areas. Some may have noticed my missing apostrophe in the previous sentence, but I bet they struggle with mathematics. You might be a molecular geneticist, but can you hear a car engine running and diagnose the issue just by the sound? Can you then fix that problem and get the car to work without any issues? You might be the best car mechanic in the world, but can you design a building and oversee its construction? You might be a talented architect, but can you explain molecular genetics? After 46 years on this earth, that's the conclusion I've drawn. We all possess a comparable level of intelligence. It is the arrogant individuals who believe they are superior to others who display true ignorance. Story 49. Refusing to change or modify a stance on an issue, even when presented with new information, is a sign of stubbornness. Curiosity, on the other hand, is the opposite of this rigidity and encourages an open-minded approach to learning and understanding new perspectives. Story 50. They take an IQ test and score lower than 85. Resources and help are available, and this does not diminish their worth as individuals. There is so much more to life. Story 51. When individuals blindly follow something without being able to understand other viewpoints, it resembles worshiping a political party as if it were a sports team, taking personal offense to valid criticism directed at them. Story 52. They believe anything they are told, except when they find it disagreeable or in conflict with what they have previously been informed. This includes believing objectively false conspiracy theories, not just the borderline joke ones like the flat earth theory, but also the harmful ones such as the belief that vaccines cause autism or that the earth is only 6,000 years old. Story 53. They believe in conspiracy theories, which is not necessarily wrong. To each their own. However, they also think that they are smarter than everyone else and one step ahead of others because of their belief in conspiracy theories. Story 54. Stupid comb-over hair, orange fake tan, stands like Michael Jackson doing the lean, adores dictators, angers allies, sends out numerous bizarre posts at 3 a.m., etc. Story 55. They are terrified of being in silence with their own thoughts and must constantly have some form of stimuli, whether it be music, conversation, or something else. It is never quiet around them. Story 56. I went for a truck license last week, and part of it involved learning how a ratchet strap works. These individuals struggled to understand it even after multiple attempts and numerous demonstrations. It was as if their brain and hands were completely disconnected. Story 57. Intelligence is primarily a choice. There are natural variations in intelligence, just as some people are naturally stronger or faster than others. However, just as you can choose to become stronger, you can also choose to make better use of your mind. People who struggle with understanding often choose not to think. They lack curiosity and the desire to learn. They assume they already know what they need to and speak assertively when they clearly know very little and haven't taken the time to learn more about the topic. Story 58. The big one for me, the one that really makes me think someone is a complete and utter moron, is when they talk at you and not with you. People who do not listen to what you are saying and are just waiting for their turn to talk do not need to hear what you say. They are not processing your words or modifying their language based on your input because they cannot. They are simply speaking at you and are unable to actually converse because they cannot process verbal communication in real time. It drives me nuts, and it is such a clear sign of someone who just isn't intelligent. Story 59. They are unable to be alone with their thoughts and must constantly converse with others. Story 60. She is not unintelligent because she graduated college early and took all advanced placement classes in high school. One day, my friend had to ask me a question. So I said, "Sure, what's up?" She asked, "Hey, since your girlfriend is pregnant, can she still smoke?" In my head, I thought, "Didn't you go to school to be a doctor?" She was dead serious. She made it seem like it was okay to smoke while pregnant. Story 61. Someone who refuses to keep learning may seem lacking in curiosity. The willingness to appear uninformed by asking questions to gain understanding is, in my opinion, a hallmark of intelligence. Story 62. They always have an answer for something or a strong opinion about everything. Intelligent individuals often acknowledge their limitations by saying, "I don't know." Story 63. When they are not willing to admit they do not know something, it reflects a lack of curiosity and a reluctance to explore other possibilities. Story 64. Some people seem unintelligent only because they do not listen to what others are saying. Their internal thoughts contribute to this perception. Story 65. People who do not ask questions tend to dig for the simplest answers and abandon all nuance. Story 66. Asking questions in a Facebook group immediately after a post is made about the event, even when the original post contains all the necessary details. Some members continue to ask the same questions repeatedly. Additionally, there are instances of asking many trivial questions that have already been answered in the training guides. It may also be the case that the training guide is not clearly formatted, making it difficult for some individuals to understand the information provided. Story 67. Inability to consider that they might be incorrect about something, even on subjects they do not know very well. Intelligent individuals understand that sometimes they just do not know, and it is acceptable to ask. Story 68. Incapable of original thought, everything they do or say is copied from someone or something else. Such individuals can still function perfectly well as long as they are not required to think for themselves. Story 69. They use an exception to discredit the rule. They always have an excuse for any kind of failure. Additionally, they believe they can achieve success by riding a wave that has passed because they saw someone do it in a completely different scenario. Story 70. Conversations have a distinct pace. When things move quickly, observe who can keep up and who falls behind. Engaging with people is essential to identify this, as not participating does not indicate a lack of understanding. Familiarity with the subject matter, language skills, and other factors can affect the outcome if not taken into account. To truly recognize this phenomenon, you must discuss various topics in different contexts. Some individuals have a clear limit to how much nuance they can comprehend, regardless of the subject or situation. Story 71. Basically, they think they are always right and cannot be swayed even when presented with multiple cross-checked proofs, the reliable kind, not the fabricated kind. Story 72. I personally feel that I am intelligent in my own craft and unintelligent in other areas. A lack of common sense is what I consider a sign of someone who is not intelligent. Story 73. My sister keeps saying she has an above-average IQ. When I catch someone saying that, I immediately know it's a sign that they are ignorant and arrogant. Story 74. The number one sign of intelligence is curiosity. Uninformed individuals are not interested in things they do not already know. Story 75. All the comments here describe someone I know who is actually unintelligent. I appreciate the validation. Story 76. Thinking there is only one correct way to do something or one way to reach an end reflects a mindset of functional fixedness. Story 77. When they appear to be drunk, stoned, or otherwise constantly intoxicated, and then you realize there were no substances involved, that's just them. I met a girl at my trivia night who acted perpetually drunk out of her mind and had not had a sip of liquor. Needless to say, she didn't really contribute anything to the event except for the fact that she was extremely excited to tell us that a baby goose is called a gosling. I mean, that wasn't a trivia question, obviously, but still. She also considered The Emperor's New Groove a foreign film and mentioned that she didn't remember watching it with subtitles, so she wasn't sure if she had seen it. That woman truly reminded me of the Amanda Seyfried character in Mean Girls. I usually don't call anyone dumb or stupid as a person, although I will call movies or opinions stupid. I try my best not to be an intelligent snob, but she's one of the few people who deserve that label. I felt my brain cells die hearing her speak. Story 78. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. I genuinely believe humans have a choice to challenge themselves and their ideas with greater scrutiny instead of immediately reacting instinctively. Taking pause and reflecting implies a genuine curiosity about oneself and the world around them. As we develop in this way, we learn more about many things, and as our knowledge grows, we tend to realize we actually know little at all. However, doing this requires self-actualization and inquisitiveness, qualities many people don't stop to consider if they possess, while others are completely devoid of them. So, what makes a person uninformed? A genuine lack of curiosity and inner reflection. What are the signs? They are easy to spot. People who repeat what they read verbatim or live out what they've watched on the internet. They may believe in dubious cures for illnesses. They blindly follow the words of others. They are bold in their ignorance, and as they seem to become less informed at a frightening speed, they mistakenly believe they are growing more intelligent. For them, there is no space. There is no curiosity. There is no reflection. They just hear the bell ring, and their mouths start to water. All said, I'm not an authority on this topic, so take this with a grain of salt. Story 79. Keeping up with the latest trends and regularly updating their bio with the current trending hashtag and emojis. Story 80. Measuring the quality of life in terms of food and drink is common in the Balkans and Eastern Europe. This mindset seems prevalent among the population, and it drives me crazy. Story 81. Individuals who can read but choose not to. Individuals who take pride in ignoring even basic local news and current events. Individuals who struggle to make or understand inferences. You do not need to use the exact words to convey a message. Story 82. Ego is a clear sign. Having a Doctor of Philosophy degree in one topic doesn't make you a genius. It only makes you knowledgeable in that area. Selecting information that supports your viewpoint and presenting it as absolute truth reflects the same concept. There is always something you don't know, and being too egotistical to accept that is a sign of ignorance. Story 83. Unable to move past preconceived notions even when factually proven incorrect. Additionally, there is a tendency to be overly emotional. Story 84. Kevin. Story 85. My old boss couldn't understand why an oval running track needed to be staggered, as the outside lane is longer than the inside lane. I had no respect for him, Story 86. Blaming others when they are called out on their actions demonstrates a lack of accountability, which indicates a lack of critical thinking. Story 87. Thinking the burden of proof is on others to prove them wrong rather than providing evidence when they say something inappropriate. Story 88. Instant defensive posture during communication serves as an immediate excuse instead of genuinely listening to what is being said and learning. Story 89. I know an aspiring influencer who does makeup applications but doesn't hold the products up long enough for you to see what she used. It is very funny. Story 90. Using a calculator for simple addition. No joke, the person I work with has used a calculator for 18 plus 12. He also thinks he's never wrong about anything. Story 91. Never asks questions, is not open to new information, and is extremely confident in something they know very little about. The more you know about a subject, the more you see its complexities, and the more you realize you actually don't know much about it. Story 92. There are no guaranteed signs. For example, if someone never reads a book and admits a dislike for reading, this does not guarantee any particular level of intelligence. Being easily manipulated through fear, avoiding complexity, or being fearful of it, as well as adopting a nihilistic attitude, pretending there is no problem, instead of a cynical one, measuring the truthfulness and merit of every statement of authority without blind faith, are important considerations. Intelligence should be clearly defined before making significant efforts to answer this question. Is it someone's ability to learn? So, what is the focus of that learning? Everything? Mathematics? Poetry? Empathy? Survival? Story 93. Excuses. So many excuses. My wife's manager is a contender for the title of the least competent person in a high-paying job. This man has been in his position for 2 years, and all he does is make excuses. As of yesterday, he still could not tell the difference between 2 separate products that look nothing alike, made for 2 different companies on 2 completely different machines. He cannot use any of their systems because his logins don't work, as he never logged in. When asked to do anything, he cannot because he cannot log in. If it's something that doesn't require logging in, he cannot do it. He's too busy with meetings or handling customer issues. Anything that goes wrong that is directed toward him is attributed to one of his employees' failures. This man was assigned specific tasks to gather data for a high-level meeting with the chief executive officer, chief financial officer, and engineers of a massive healthcare client, but didn't bother showing up to a 2-day meeting and audit at all because he accidentally scheduled a 15-minute safety training session on the first day of the meeting. He didn't provide any required information and never made an appearance. 2 full years of nothing but excuses to his superiors, and he is still employed. Some might say he must be smart to keep earning 6 figures a year for doing nothing. He spends 12 hours a day at work, hiding and trying to figure out how to avoid getting into trouble for doing nothing. He works 10 times harder trying to fly under the radar than he would have had to if he just learned the job and performed his duties. He is stressed out, thinking he's going to get fired all the time, and he believes his employees enjoy working for him. So he is incompetent. It just happens that the vice president who is protecting him is equally ineffective and is apparently preventing human resources or the plant manager from doing anything about him. Story 94. People who harm themselves to spite others. I don't care if I suffer. My enemy is suffering, so I'm overjoyed. Story 95. Stupidity is part of the human condition, especially among those who believe they are intelligent. Story 96. Lack of wisdom. You can have all the intelligence in the world, but if you do not use it wisely, you are not making the best use of your abilities. Story 97. When people are defensive and fail to understand others, it reflects a lack of curiosity or interest in the world. Jargon can clutter communication, and a lack of nuance can blind us to important issues. When individuals dismiss entire genres by saying things like, "I don't like country," or "rap is terrible," or disregard mediums with comments such as, "cartoons are for kids," or "physical media is outdated," it reveals a limited perspective. Additionally, some people struggle to read even the most basic body language in humans and animals. Those who choose creative endeavors but become stagnant in their comfort zones may find it difficult to remove their biased viewpoints long enough to see every interaction as an opportunity for genuine dialogue. Story 98. People who refuse to reconsider their previously held ideas or beliefs after being presented with verifiable, conflicting information should recognize that there is no shame in admitting they were wrong. Story 99. An example of unintelligent behavior I've noticed is when people cannot entertain a hypothetical. You present a scenario and say, "Okay, imagine you did X," and they respond with, "But I wouldn't." Some individuals are simply unable to do it. In my experience, those who cannot entertain hypotheticals tend to be particularly lacking in intelligence. Story 100. Writes on Reddit. Trusts whatever government. Advocates for weed legalization but not for other drugs, as advocating for those would expose them to the risk of downvotes, even if the logic works the same way. Claims the previous post was about intelligence. Trying to provoke a discussion on Reddit regarding drug politics through obvious rage bait. Those kinds of things. Story 101. Unintelligent is a vague concept. It reminds me of my friends who may not be critical thinkers but possess remarkable insight into human relationships. Story 102. Someone who is malicious and consistently lashes out displays a form of vindictive behavior that is truly dangerous. Story 103. A person who claims to be intelligent is a strong indicator. It is others who determine whether you are intelligent, not yourself. Story 104. Every discussion becomes a personal attack, and they are unable to communicate effectively. They only want to engage in a shouting match and will never concede their position. Story 105. When they hold a strong conviction about something, regardless of the evidence or other perspectives. Story 106. In my opinion, a sign that is not simply a rephrasing of "is unintelligent" is how picky someone is with food. The more open you are to new tastes and flavors, and the more you are willing to experiment and try new things, the more it indicates that you have an open and dynamic mind. Story 107. They have one of two responses to criticism of Trump. You just read the mainstream media, or you have Trump derangement syndrome. The latter is a classic ad hominem response from someone who lacks the knowledge to engage with someone more educated or informed. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.